campus. You also might not know me at all. Regardless of how well you know me, today I want to talk about something that I believe affects all of us. So first, let me take you all the way back to December of 2021. These photos are from the 2021 Winter Rock Band concert. For any of you who have been to a rock band show here, you know that they're a pretty big deal. Oops. The student bands work for months to prepare their songs, and it's always a blast getting to perform for our friends and family. What those who were at the show definitely did not know is that I was not performing at 100%. For this show specifically, I was working with multiple Innsworth bands, so I had a lot on my plate. The problem was that on Monday of show week, I woke up completely congested with a splitting headache. Common sense might tell me to sleep in and take a sick day, as long as I was getting tested for COVID and the flu. But I was terrified to miss school. Not only was I terrified of letting my bandmates down, but a positive COVID test at that time would have resulted in my being sidelined for 2 whole weeks. And the thought of missing that much school right before exams scared me so much that I refused to miss a day. I instead opted to throw a mask on, pop a Dayquil, and suck it up throughout the week. I realized very quickly that was a pretty big mistake. Going through the school day on Monday, both my teachers and friends voiced concerns for my health. I was essentially sleepwalking through the whole school day, and I had no ability to pay attention or focus or even socialize with my friends. Monday afternoon, I came home, and I somehow finished my homework and fell asleep by 8 o'clock. Tuesday morning, I woke up, and once again, despite the obvious signs that I needed to take a health day, I dragged myself to school and had an even more miserable day than the last. It was around this time that I began to realize that my being at school was having a negative impact on those around me, and not just having a negative impact on me. My teachers were frustrated at me at my complete inability to focus in class, as well as my stubbornness to not see the nurse. And I wasn't my best self because of my illness, so I ended up blowing off all of my friends, even though they were just trying to help. I was finally forced to go to the nurse around the end of the day on Tuesday, and I tested positive for the flu. This meant that I absolutely had to miss school on Wednesday, so the first thing I did was promise my bandmates that I would be back on Thursday, ready to practice. I really wasn't sure about that, but I didn't want to let them down. When I looked at my assignments that I missed on Wednesday, I realized that expectation I had set for myself was completely unreasonable. However, in my mind, missing another day of school simply was not an option. So I once again threw my health out of the window and ended up staying up past midnight just to get my work done. It was around 1 in the morning when I realized it would have been impossible for me to get all of that makeup work done, so I just went to sleep. Luckily, I woke up the next day feeling much better, and upon my arrival to school, it was made clear to me that I had been putting way too much pressure on myself. My teachers were more than willing to give me extensions on the work that I'd missed, and while my bandmates were glad to have me back, they were adamant that I needed to prioritize my health, and if I couldn't play the show, it would be okay. I ended up being able to play that show, but I was still thinking about this experience for weeks after. I thought that surely I wasn't the only one who had put themselves under this kind of debilitating stress. Because of that, a few weeks before last year's midterms, I sent out a student survey so I could collect some other voices besides my own. The first question I asked was, over the course of the first semester, have you felt overwhelmed or stressed about your schoolwork, classes, or academics in general? And as you can see, nearly 90% of students said that academics were a form of stress for them. I then asked those who answered yes to explain why, and these are some of the answers that stood out to me. I've been absent a lot due to illness, and it has been hard to keep up. School is full of expectations, deadlines, grades, and other things that constantly grow and grow. It's a lot of pressure that sometimes feels like too much to handle. I've been struggling with ADHD, poor mental health, and anxiety for a while now, and school amplifies all of this. I feel like I have to be perfect. Oh my God. I feel a sense of pressure to get good grades simply to prove my worth to myself and others. I feel like there's a lot of schoolwork and the transition has been hard out of middle school. These are just a few of the examples of the academic stress that we all have to deal with. And something that really stood out to me was that academic stress oftentimes bleeds into other parts of our lives. Because of that, I decided to ask a second question. This time, I asked, this thing will work. Over the course of this semester, have you felt overwhelmed or stressed by your non-academic activities? And as you can see, just over 50% of students said that non-academics were a factor of stress for them. And remember, these are things like sports and clubs and arts, things that should really be alleviating our anxiety and not amplifying it. I once again asked those who entered yes to explain why, and these are some more answers that stood out to me. I cannot make mistakes. I have to perform like everyone else. I work a lot and don't have much time to sleep or rest. I don't do sports because they make me really stressed, short on time, and sleep deprived. I have to show up and be my best self, which can overwhelm me, but that's what you sign up for. I'm a perfectionist and get stressed when I mess up in my performances or my sports. These overwhelming responses led me to ask one more question. I wanted to know how often NSWER students experience this kind of anxiety. So this time I asked, how often this semester have you felt like you cannot get everything finished? And as you can see, nearly 80% of students, either all the time, some of the time, or most of the time, cannot get all of their work done. I began to realize that this kind of anxiety lasts year-round for a lot of NSWER students, and I learned through my survey that I am certainly not alone in my anxiety. So, what do I think we should do about this? Well, the first thing I would say is that we need to stop treating ourselves like trash. School and work are very important, but your mental and physical health should be just as big of a priority. If we don't feel well enough to go to school, then we should take sick days. My initial decision to not get tested for COVID or the flu was an extremely irresponsible one, and at the end of the day, I'm very glad I was forced to get tested. If I hadn't gotten the proper treatment for the flu, I would have never gotten to play that show. Second, if you feel burnt out or anxious, then you should talk to people about it. In my experience, people are more than happy to help in these situations, and talking to friends, family, and professionals is a great way to take a step towards managing your stress. Something that I've found is I like to keep myself busy, but with things I enjoy doing. And yes, that is me in all the photos. I've had a few different looks over the years. But yeah, so as I previously mentioned, I play in the rock band here, and some of you might know about Fly to the Sun, which is my band outside of school. I also play in the jazz band, play on the golf team, and act in our theater productions. I would encourage all of you to look at what stress you cause for yourselves and what might help alleviate. This is just what worked for me, and everybody's different. Finally, if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm happy to help. Please come up and introduce yourself, and I would be more than glad to talk and listen. Ainsworth is an amazing place, and it gives us a lot of great opportunities. But the cost of doing that one extra thing is oftentimes sacrificing our health, free time, and rest. Here we are, in the swing of a brand new school year, and it's sure to contain a lot of predictable waves of anxiety. So I want to encourage all of us to take a look at what anxiety we cause for ourselves, give ourselves some slack, and be kind to ourselves and others. Thank you.